This a quick video I make just because, just because. Now, I make this video because I want to show the people the hand that heaven has had on my life always. And so I was watching this dude. He got a channel on YouTube that he calls End of Sentence. End, E-N-D, of O-F, Sentence, S-E-N-T-E-N-C-E. Anyway, I respect little youngster, and I could tell that the little youngster, he tells real stories. Like, he not trying to big himself up and none of that. Nor am I trying to big myself up. But my story itself does big me up. See, put it like this. I'm a product from, I was born 65, Kings County Hospital. I spent like the first 4, damn near, almost 5 years of my life in there. So we'll say that when I hit the streets and I hit the East New York section of Brooklyn, it was back in the 70s. By late 1970 or 71, I was living on Georgia Avenue between Livonia and Dumont. Which in my building, there was a gang called the Tomahawks, which was very active in the 70s. In fact, so active that the government shut them down. But it was back in the 70s that I became known as Terrible Tiny Tim, or later on 3T. But then skip a few years later, now we going into like 1979. Now I'm like 14, 15. You know what I'm saying? In 1980, you could say I'm 15 years old. 1980. First time I go to jail. And the first time I get locked up, like I said, it was because of me and some fellas. We broke inside of a place and wasn't satisfied with just getting the money. We had to go back and get everything. And when we went back to get everything, we got locked up. Now, the beauty of it is I did not have to get locked up with them that night. But I chose. It was like, fuck it, I'm with them. They all getting locked up. I'm getting locked up with them too. Plus, I made a decision to do that because I didn't want none of them to think that if anything got missing, because there was other people that knew what we stored. So I didn't want them to think if anything got missing, it was on me. Plus, I was kind of like smart to know that at least I was getting out of this shit. And I had a story to get us all out of it. And we all got out of it because of my story. True story. But because we got locked up on the weekend, we had to go to Rikers Island. Now, people I was with, I was adolescents. All these niggas was grown-ups. That's first. All these niggas was grown-ups. I'm an adolescent. So, as we get locked up, you know me, I ain't got no idea, and I ain't telling these niggas who I am. They gonna have to wait for the prince. But I know when my prince come back, they gonna know who I am. They gonna see, because this is my first time getting locked up, they gonna see I ain't got no criminal record. Really, I was not caught with anything. And I was not caught inside premises. So there was really nothing they could do to me. All I had to do was keep my mouth shut. And thank God that somehow I was smart enough to know that. Even though I didn't know. It's just heaven guided me. Anyway, well, we got caught on the weekend, so we had to go to Rikers Island. Like this is like back in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? I started doing shit in 70. This is back in the 80s. I started doing shit 79 and a little bit of 80. So I say this is close to 80 going on 81, 1981. Anyway, I hit the island. They sent me to the adolescence building, which I believe today is still the full building. I'm not sure. But back in those days, it was a full building. Back in those days, they only had C95, the 3 building, and the 4 building. There was only 3 buildings on the alley. Anyway, he stuck me in the 4 building. I'm there for like, now mind you, I'm there only because really I would have got let go. But I had some fucking sneaking on the train shits. So they asked for $100 or 15 days in jail with me. I was like, fuck it, I'll do the 15 days. But when I got in there, and I'm separated from everybody that I came with. I'm there with nobody that I came with. We go to the alley. Well, hold up, wait, I skipped the story. We went to the alley. We got knocked. They all get out. I don't get out because I got them fucking $100 fine over my head, or 15 days. So I take the 15 days. First day I'm going, everything good. They put me in a 4 building. I think I was believing 1 upper, which was the intake dome. Which probably I would have stayed there because I was only doing 15 days, and out of the 15 you do 7. That back then that's how the law went. 3/4 of your some shit, however they did it. Anyway, first day I'm there, everything's good. You know what I'm saying? Second day I'm there after breakfast, I believe it was. Dude comes over to my bed and he's trying to talk to me. Like trying to find out who I am, but I'm like wanting some shit like, nigga, first of all, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm ready to go back to sleep. Yo, please, we talk later. But he insisted on kept asking me questions, and I'm like, yo, first of all, you come and ask me who I am, yet you never told me who you was. That's very rude. Like I said, you want to talk to me, we talk at a more appropriate time. So boom, he gets up, he leaves. Boom, now we get up for lunch. This is the second day. I mean, the third day, I believe. But I'm going back some years. I'm 55 years old now, and I'm going back to when I was 15, 1980. I was born in 1965. Anyway, I wake up later on, and all of a sudden he sends us, this is the third day. I wake up, it's after dinner now. That was breakfast that morning. The third day, yeah. So, I wake up for breakfast that morning. I come back, he does that bullshit. This is the third day, he does that, coming to talk to me. And I'm like, man, come talk to me at a more appropriate time. And he asking me questions about me. And I'm like, you ain't even introduce yourself, and you coming to ask me what's my name and all this and where I'm from. Nah, don't go down like that. So he leaves, boom. After we wake up, we go to lunch, because that was breakfast time, he did that. We wake up, nothing happens the whole day. We go to, they call lunch, we go to lunch, boom, nothing happens, boom, we go to dinner, they call dinner, we go to dinner. Boom, at dinner time, this dude comes to me. Well, he sends somebody else to my bed. And the nigga says to me, yo, you gotta run your shit. Meaning I had a chain, a bracelet, and a ring on. And some fresh white on white Adidas. I had on a Bill Blass I had on a Bill Blass velvet suit, white BVD tank top, white on white Adidas, everything crisp, and I had my jewels on. I'm looking good. I was a handsome dude. Anyway, he sends this dude after dinner. He sends this dude to my bed telling me I gotta run my shit. So I'm like, I really don't know the lingo. He's like, no. He said, you gotta run that. And I look at him, like the dude he sent, and I'm like, fuck you talking about running? Man, I ain't running nowhere. And if y'all niggas want to race, y'all go and race. No, as a matter of fact, get the fuck away from me. And that's what I'm like to him. So he leaves. He comes back and he says, yo, my man say, but you gonna run your shit, them jewels and sneakers, or getting fucked up. I'm like, what? He, like, you heard, and he walks away. So me, like I said, it's my first time being locked up ever. And I'm 3 days in now on a $100, 15-day sentence or $100 fine. So I go to the CO. I'm like, yo, CO, this nigga talking about taking my sneakers and my jewelry. So the nigga, CO says to me, well, first of all, let me tell you where he was at. It's a day room. Right? He's at the door of the day room. So I walk to him and I tell him. He says to me, so what you gonna do about it? I'm like, I don't say nothing. I'm shocked by his answer, but I don't say nothing. I just go back to my bed. Let's just say when the nigga came to my bed, the actual nigga, some light-skinned dude, tall, he actually comes to my bed, call himself taking my shit, and he got a knife with him. Let's just say that. After his wrist get broke, he loses the knife because his fingers get broke. Then he gets his arm broke and his leg broke. And I could have stabbed him with his own shit, but I didn't. I just threw it down. Broke his arm and his leg. And one thing, I'm going to be honest, I probably could have got more time out of that. But you know why I didn't? Because of the CO. The CO was honest enough to say that, yo, I had went to him. Like, I don't know what made him do it. I guess because the innocence he seen in me. Because he knew, I mean, everybody, they all knew it was my first time being locked up, especially the COs. They know they're repeat offenders and all that. So I wasn't like no regular, and then he seen my innocence, like, because I was supposed to be done off automatically by everybody. They were supposed to want to do me because I went to the CO, like what they call snitching. Only I was very much adolescent. I didn't know about that. First time being locked up, I got a nigga coming to me talking about he gonna take my shit. But when the CO told me that, like I said, I went in. He got fucked up. The knife he came to me to take, I could have stabbed him with it, but I didn't. But I still fucked him up. He got a broken wrist, like 2 broken fingers, and a broken arm and a broken leg behind fucking with me. So from that point on, that was the first time I ever went in Allen, right? It's like 1980. I swear to God, I got locked up 1982, 1983, 1984, 1980. I got locked up a bunch of times after that. Always for little bullshit, though. Always for little bullshit. Nothing major. But every time I never hit the Allen again. They would always put me in Brooklyn House. And Brooklyn House over there on Atlantic Avenue was a much worse prison. Because it was all cells. When they knew they couldn't put you on the Allen, they put you in Brooklyn House, where they could monitor you more better because it's all cells. It was a more modernized building than any building on Allen was. So it's like every time after that, they used to lock me up on fucking Brooklyn House, Atlantic Avenue. And one day, as I got sentenced for 1 to 3. Right? I forgot what year. I think it was back in 93, something like that. But I got sentenced to a 1 to 3. And I was waiting, like after, I fought they never put me on Allen. I did all this shit from Brooklyn House, went back and forth to court, was fighting it. I lost the bid, so they gave me a 1 to 3. And they held me in Brooklyn House till the day I was supposed to go upstate. That's when they brought me to the Allen, over to the Fort building, and then the buses came and picked us up. But they did that the day I was supposed to, like, any other time, as soon as you get sentenced, you going to the Allen. The wait to go to, you going to the 6th building until you get ready to get picked up, and then everything, all shipments out, went through the Fort building. That was back in like the 90s. I don't know how they do it now. But on the 90s, if you was anywhere on the island in any 3 buildings, well, by them, I believe they had 4 buildings, and they was working on the Bing. Back in the 90s, that's when they was working on the Bing. I believe back in the 90s, it was HDM, which was first, 95, the 4 buildings, 3 buildings, and then OBCC they had in the 90s. But as I'm waiting there to go up north, they keep me waiting on in Brooklyn, at Brooklyn House in the cell. And I never understood that. It was from that day that I went to the island and they never wanted me back on that. I found that out years later. Now I'll take you flashback to like 2003. I take you like fast forward from 1992, 93. We fast forward to 2003. And I go back to jail. And this time, once again, it's for something I ain't do. But they trying to get me an asshole full now. First of all, when I go to court, they put my bail at $500,000, $500,000. They make my bail. I'm looking at these niggas like, is y'all foolish? I'm about to sue the shit out of y'all. But anyway, they put me there then, and it was then that I learned why I was never put back on the island. And that was only because there was some people that worked on the island, that in the house that I was in. And now first they sent me on this charge that they put me on, they sent me to OBCC first. From OBCC, they realized their mistake and they moved me to protective custody, which was fucking HDM building. I mean, not even HDM, it was Infirmary Command. I forgot which building that first started in. I believe it is HDM, I'm not sure. But anyway. Yeah, it's HDM because that was the first building, the Housing Detention for Men. And so, and later on, that North Infirmary Command, that became the PIC building. And after they put me in OBCC, on that charge, they realized their mistake, so they moved me to a fucking PC. When I got the PC, that's where I found out that even, because they scrutinized me, because the charge that I was being charged with, niggas is like, nah, you don't, I met many, like, these are people that work in these places where people like that are sent. And they like, man, never. Nah, I don't believe, and none of them believe the charge that I was being charged with. Nobody believed it. Then when the DNA results came back, clearing me, yet the court still didn't want to honor it. They still wanted to, like, people was telling me, yo, you about to get railroaded. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you got railroaded, but it ain't coming down with me like that. And it didn't. And yeah, it was like, yo, everybody, even COs was telling me, but that's when the COs started treating me like, nigga, we know you locked up and we know you shouldn't be here, but it's out of our hands. But the most we can do is make sure that you get the pleasures of the shit you like to enjoy, the shit you like to do. And so that's what they gave me. So I swear to God, where it was like, they kept me locked up for 18 months behind that bullshit. But after about 6 months, when my shit got cleared, the CO, look, it was a time when motherfucking the jail got raided. North Infirmary Command got raided. They made me the intake worker. So now mind you, making me the intake worker, That made me, all the drugs coming in and out of our building was coming through me. Because everybody coming back from court, they was getting checked. And they knew that. But they knew that as long as they got it back to the house, when they was coming in online, all they had to do was call me and be like, yo, Light, hold this down. Boom, and I would take it. But I would let them all. They would tell me, yo, you could take this and you could take that. I'm like, nah, nigga. I done took it all. It's mine now. Nigga, because you lose this. If I don't take it, you lose it. It's mine. I'm going to give you what I want. But I wasn't greedy. In fact, most of the time, if it was something that I really didn't fuck with, I ain't even touch it. I just gave it to them. But then niggas would always come back and show love. Let's just put it like this. I was shown a lot of love. Even though I was charged with something that niggas got killed for. And it was like, yo, they wanted me to die. Because, first of all, matter of fact, I'm going to reveal the whole shit. They accused me of raping a 13-year-old girl. Now, the only thing I ever had in my life is my daughter. Do y'all understand? So for them to accuse me of such, and you could say that after a minute, they knew they was wrong. But you know what they did when they decided to lock me up? Because I ain't get locked up right away. But they just figured because I was a person that used drugs at the time, that they could just pin the shit on me. Like I was just a drug user with no morals. Oh, little did they know. Because when they tried it, like I said, I went before the judge. He gave me a $500,000 bail. I cursed him out. I'm like, yo, I'm about to sue the shit out of exactly what I said. I'm going to sue the shit out of you. And they locked me up. I couldn't afford no $500,000 bail. And so they kept me locked up for 18 months. Called themselves trying to make me fight the charges. Then I got everybody telling me that, yo, they just gonna railroad you. I mean, even COs is telling me this shit, yo. Damn, and like, they feel helpless, like, because they know that I'm innocent of these charges. They know I'm innocent. And so because of that, they start giving me liberties that, woo. Like, all the COs, I know they remember me. Because we had everything popping that year, especially in NIC. North Infirmary Command, the PC building. We had shit popping. And now, let me tell all of y'all about the PC building. Y'all think that that's where all the soft cell motherfuckers go? Well, yeah, it's a couple of them go there. You heard what I said? It's a couple of them that go there. But mainly, that protective custody building, oh, it's full of savages, kid. I met the wildest nigga I ever met in life. And they called this nigga, yo, the jail took it upon themselves to call him Bananas. Now, mind you, let's check this out. On the charge with that rape charge, that when they first put me in OBCC, but then they realized their mistake. You know what they realized their mistake was? Because they put me in OBCC for over 3 weeks, and I was not bodied. And they put me in the worst house that you could go in for the charge that I was under. And nobody never made it out of that house with that charge. Yet after they seen after 3 weeks wasn't nothing going down with me, they like, oh, we gotta cover our tracks, so they put me in the PC building. Now when I get there, it's like, soon as I touch grounds, they got the craziest motherfucker in the building. And they put him in a cell with me. And they tell him to do me. Fuck it, if I get bodied, I get bodied. Don't worry, they cover it up. They told him this. How I know? Because he told me later on. But that day that he first got in the cell with me, he never touched me. He was like, yo, for some reason, I just knew you was in it. He told me this later. Well, put it to me. I'm put it to you like this. All of a sudden, I get to North Infirmary Command from OBCC. I'm sitting in the cell. As I'm sitting there, they bring this other nigga down. And he comes in. And while we sitting there, he start like, they put him in there, unbeknownst to me, they put him in there to do me. Like they wanted him to murder me. But when he comes in the cell, I'll never forget. He's looking at me. So I'm looking at him. And I asked him, yo, why you looking at me like that? And he just waves it off like, nah, nothing. I wasn't even really looking at you. I might have been gazing your way, but I was deep in thought. And I'm like, oh, all right, I understand. And so me and him start talking. He started asking me, yo, what they got you here for? And I was like, and I looked into his eyes when he asked me, because usually somebody asks me about my case, and I'm like, because niggas don't want me about it. So, but for some reason, I tells this nigga, I'm like, yo, they got me in here for saying that I raped a 13-year-old girl, man, and that shit is like really bothering me. And he said it was from that moment, like later on, but nah, I said that. And he was like, okay. And so now he starts trying to ill out. He starts illing out on the COs, but this is all an act. I don't know that. He's asking them for a cigarette. And he was like, ain't nobody got a cigarette. He start illing, like, y'all better get me a fucking cigarette. Like, he start going off. They got him a cigarette, which he shares with me. As he's smoking the cigarette, like, all right, he gets the cigarette. So now I'm sitting there. He gets the light. That shit is in the air. And I'm like, yo, bro, you mind shaving me, son? And he looks at me like, no, I don't know you. And I say to him, but damn, we just introduced ourselves. You just told me your name was Banana. I told you about my case, about why I'm here and all that. Damn, man, that don't count for no part of friendship. He gives me the cigarette. And then, after I finish, he gives me the cigarette, not right there, but after he finished smoking half of it, he gives me the other half. I take a couple of pulls, offer it back to him. He said, nah, go ahead, that's you. I smoked. Then he tell the